Hello.
Hello, Anu.
Yeah. I'm having some problems starting the meeting. So let me figure out how to do this. I don't know why.
Hello, Anu.
Oh, hi, Nina.
Hello, this is Nansu.
Hi, Nansu. How are you?
Good. How about you?
Not bad.
Hey, this is Jeff.
Hi, Jeff. Okay, I might have to shut this down and restart it. For whatever reason, it's not letting me start the meeting. Oh, maybe it's because let me try.
Please wait for organizers.
Okay, this is better. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Yep.
So maybe we just give it another 2 minutes and then we can get started. I don't think we have a lot of things to discuss, but we probably just want to go over updates from everybody, and then I think Jeff probably has some to talk about. Okay. So let's get started then. I see Jeff, Nansu, Jing, Nina on the call. Is there anybody else?
And here, Madhuri is here.
And Surat is there.
Madhuri is there. And Elgin is also there?
Not yet.
Okay. All right.
I'm in the conference room.
I'm sorry?
I'm in the conference room.
Oh, you're in UT Health today, okay?
Yeah.
So maybe then we can get started. So on the agenda, we have updates on action items, and we are going to talk a little bit. I think Jeff would like to discuss about the repository updating program that Burak has been working on. And then maybe Jeff and I, we want to talk a little bit about the Cedar Cloud Pilot update to see what needs to be done. And then I think Nansu already replied back for the quick share ingestion, but maybe we can just go over that briefly. After that, just basically we can talk about whatever everybody else wants to bring up. So with the repository,
Yeah. So the output for the first couple is I was traveling last week, so I have them to review, and then I'll forward those. Who is the correct person right now to forward the data to? Is that?
So we have Jing from our end who's been taking care of updating the UI.
Okay, so we can send the data information to Jing?
Yeah.
Okay.
And, Jing can always forward it to others if required, but she would be the primary contact.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll just take a quick review of those and then we'll forward those.
Okay. So for import, Nansu, do you have any updates?
Yes, actually we now successfully get the outlink for GEO and also SRA, and now we are working on the metadata mapping. So hopefully, I guess we can get everything ready for Jeff by next week.
Okay. And then we did get the ICPSR data sets, but I don't know whether we have looked into. We had a couple of calls where we talked with George about how to model the dimensions, especially if you have statistics for the variables. So I think Philippe is still working on it, and I believe that whatever is finalized would get implemented in the next version of that. So Jeff, is there anything else that we need to kind of start looking into reference to this?
Yeah, we would need to, I think, follow up with Philippe, right? Because he was the one who was figuring out the modeling based on the last call, right?
Right.
Right.
So I don't know, because I think that he's looking into both this and the gas variables right now. So maybe it will take a little bit of time before the model is finalized. So I know Philippe has done another call for the data commons stuff. Also, for we have a couple of new repositories that are requesting that we index them, and I think Sanda has replied back to them. So maybe that's something that we can assign, and then if we decide to index them, we'll.
Right. There's one that didn't have data, I think. Right. That was the neurotrauma one.
That's good. They said the data is later on in, I don't know, middle of 2018 or something like that, right?
Hold on, I'm trying to. That was which one was that? That was the National Trauma Research Repository. When I went, I didn't see anything.
Right. But then I think I'm hoping that Sanda would look a little bit more in detail.
Right.
On it, because we have only so much time, right? So I would probably I think she is going to start looking at it, is what I understand. But there are a couple more, and I think we need to write in here whether we are going to index them or not, and if we are not going to, I thought I was showing this. Sorry, let me just share my desktop, because I'm looking at the list of repositories, and then I think what's important would be for us to make a decision and actually relay that decision back to them.
Right.
So that's something like, I think as with SIGShare, it would have been useful if we had gotten back to them. So I'm not sure because I think Sanda typically does not get back to them with reference to the decision that is made by us. So whoever is assigned to it should write back to them. So we have a couple. I'm going to ask Sanda if she would take a closer look at all the repositories and then decide whether we are going to index them or not, or how useful it would be for us to index them.
Yeah, and Project Tycho, they have a number of precompiled data sets, so.
So is that a good thing to?
I mean, those are the only true data sets. I mean, you can compile your own data set, and that would sort of be a little more difficult to do, I think.
Okay. So I think it would be good for us if actually Sanda goes through all of these and provides us with some more these.
Right.
Right? About what they are. I will get back to her and ask her to do that. So the rest of them are on hold for now. And then Jeff, since we are talking about the repository anyway, Nancy, did you get any information from about Skillshare?
So actually, I sent an email to the student worker who works on this repository screening. So basically, what I can recall is that we actually investigate this repository and cross-compare the metadata existed now with the metadata ingested already, and we found that there's nothing new there. So that's why I think I sent an email to your guys that we decided to not map or ingest the Figshare again because there's no new metadata.
So if we are sure of that, I think we should contact them and let them know.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. I will actually confirm those ones from our students, and once we confirm that, because it's been like several months ago, so I'm not so sure that 100% correct. So after I confirm with them, then I will reply to the repository submitter.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
So I guess maybe we can quickly talk about the Cedar Cloud Finance collaboration. So today at 4 o'clock we're going to have some kind of a dry run where we'll have a researcher actually use Cedar to generate or to generate the metadata, right, Jeff?
Yeah. I guess they're going to do a little Cedar tutorial first, and then there's the BioCaddy digital object form within Cedar that people can fill out, and then I guess we'll show sort of, for example, the Figshare content currently in DataMed, and then if the form and all that works fine on the Cedar end, then the next step is for us to lock down the form and then set up the ingestion for that data.
Okay. So, do you need any help from anybody, any of the others on the team, to actually review maybe the form that's submitted or any of that, curatory work, or is that something that's already covered?
Well, I mean, we have the initial form. The question is what other attributes they want us to add and all that, and I don't know what the answer to that is. I mean, we'll find out on the call.
Okay. So the other additional thing that I wanted to also make sure, I think Madhuri created already an account on Cedar. So if there is any form that needs to be edited later on, I think she can help out with it. But probably what we need is for all of that to be shared with her. I believe
Okay.
she sent you an email already, but I don't know if you received it. Maybe Madhuri, could you send it to Jeff again?
Yeah.
I think I have that. I think I got that right before. Hold on.
Okay.
So this is from.
Madhuri is from UT Health.
No, I'm trying. What's the email? What should I search my email for?
I think this was about her Cedar account. So I don't remember what the email was called. Maybe I think I was CC'd on it, Jeff. I can forward it again to you.
Okay. Let's see. What's her open ID? Let me see if I can find her as a user.
I think about 2 weeks ago, right, Madhuri?
Yeah. I guess.
Yeah, so they
Yeah.
copied. Last week they copied the folder, so I have control of it, and so I was able to work with it yesterday. I'll share one thing with you, or see if I can share something with you.
I just forwarded you her email again.
Yeah, I'll forward it again. Yeah.
And your username. Do you remember the username you had?
I can't remember. I'll forward it to you, the information.
Yeah, because what you sent before is the URL.
Yeah.
But I don't know what your actual user. In the search for the sharing, I need the actual username.
Okay, I can send the information.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess then we come to the repository updating plan. So Jeff, do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, so basically we have the ability to run automatic updates on our end and generate either updated documents or new documents for an index that currently exists. And so what we need to figure out is how we can, or where we need to pass that data so that it can be picked up on your end and then placed into the index. So again, this is not adding a new index or anything of that nature. It's basically, we find a new document in a data source and we want to do an update. So we want to add a new document to an index that already exists. So there's no configuration or anything needed. It's basically just passing a new document to the index. But we can't, I don't think we have access to get behind the firewall to do that. And so we need to figure out how to, where we should place the update documents and what the mechanism would be then, to move those into the index.
So
a more automated process.
So is this something that could potentially be directly inserted into the index on the production side?
Yeah.
Right?
Right, because again, there's no change in configuration. It's just adding a new document.
Right. So, Jing and Firas, can you guys? Is it possible? So, Jeff, are you saying you don't have access to the production server?
Well, I'm not sure what the mechanism is that you go through to place the data, and we need to find a way to do this in a more automated way.
Right.
So I know there's a way for me to, long time ago I was able to log into the production server, by hand, but I don't know if there's any way or what code is needed on the production server to move the data over. Like if it's something on the production server that sits there and polls every hour for documents that exist somewhere, and then copies them over and then adds them to the index, or there are many different ways this can be done, but since you have the code base on the production server, trying to figure out what's the best way to do this.
So Jing, can you just kind of briefly update Jeff as to how you add new data into DataMed on the production server?
Okay. So now I updated some indexes of production server. I will provide the documentation.
So, but you do it manually, right? It's not something that's automated. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So maybe maybe we need to have a call with you, Burak, Jing, and maybe, I don't know, Firat, I think, because Firat also has some background with, not as much as Jing does with the UI part of it, but Firat has also been looking into the indexing aspect. So we could have a brief call maybe sometime next week.
Yeah, that should work.
So that, they can kind of let you know exactly how, but I do know that even back from when Ruiling and Shaoling were working on it, that it was always done manually. It was never an automated process.
Right, but the manual part was mainly the model.
Right.
Definitely.
I think so.
And since we're not changing the model, it's just adding a document, right?
Yeah, I agree. So maybe we can have a call where we can actually hash out the details and figure out how you could potentially update directly on the production server. But this is the plan, right? That you will update it on the production server directly.
Right.
Okay.
That's the goal for the updating. It would make, it doesn't make sense to have to go through all the manual steps when it's just add additional documents.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so let me then fix up a meeting, maybe about an hour long, so we can figure out all the technical details. And the only other major thing that I wanted to talk about was actually to suggest that we have from next meeting onwards, we could have the CDT calls bi-weekly, because as you have noticed, for the last couple of meetings we've been many times there have not been major updates to report, and so we have been canceling calls. And so I just asked both Hua and Jeff if it was okay for us to go and have the CDT calls on a bi-weekly basis rather than every week, and both of them are okay with that. So I think I will modify the invitation that I've sent out to show that it will occur on a bi-weekly basis. besides that, is there anything else that anybody wants to talk about? That needs to be discussed at the CDT meeting? If there's nothing else, then I think, Jeff, I'll actually schedule the call, and yeah, that will be a.
I mean, if we're going to the biweekly meeting schedule, we could just use next Tuesday's time slot if we want.
Okay, that'll work.
Yeah.
Is that okay with you, Jing and Firat?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah, so let's do it that way then. Then next meeting, we are just going to bring our laptops, and then we talk about how we update the UI, and then we can figure out how Burak can actually update the production server directly. All right. Is there anything else anybody wants to bring up?
Anu, this is Dawei. I joined late, and so I saw the agenda item have a figure share ingestion and CEDA. Like that already been discussed, or?
Yeah, we talked about it briefly. So for the Figshare, Figshare is something that we are already ingesting through DataSite. So the point that was raised was whether Figshare itself has any additional metadata beyond what we are pulling in through DataSite. And actually, we had folks at UCSD who already looked into Figshare. However, because it was a couple of months ago, people do not remember the exact details. But what's kind of has been what people remember is that there were no additional metadata besides what is being supplied through DataSite. However, Nansu is going to confirm this, and once we know for sure that that is the situation, we will respond back to the Figshare folks who actually submitted the request.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
All right.
Yeah, I haven't joined the call for a while. I'm wondering if people have any questions that are some information that you need from me.
No, actually, we've had a couple of cancellations in the past 2-3 weeks. So I guess we're having the calls after some time too. But right now, we just talked about going to a bi-weekly schedule rather than a weekly schedule because there are not that many updates for us to discuss every week. But I think so we will shift to a bi-weekly schedule soon.
Okay.
So were there any other issues that we should talk about? Jeff, is there anything else?
No, I mean, if we have the meeting next week then on the updating pipeline, that will, because then we can hopefully finish that.
That part of the work, yeah, I agree.
In the May time.
And I think that will also be useful in terms of updating new records from CEDAR too, right, for Figshare.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, sounds good. So then let's meet again. I mean, I don't think everybody needs to call in for the next week meeting. It's probably going to be a technical discussion between Burak and Jing and Firat. So we talk again next week then. Thank you all for calling in.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.